Hello, everybody. This is Dearden2007, and today I want to discuss my belief that the Earth is not a globe, but a flat Earth. I want to give my opinion, but I also want to analyze some flat Earth video that I have found, and I would argue a lot of it is aimed towards the flat Earth. And another thing is pilots sign a contract and their flight manual, their training manual actually says that it's a flat Earth. I've got videos of pilots admitting that the Earth is flat. But we'll just get into the footage. That's my opinion. Whether you believe it or respect it or not, that's my belief. I believe that we live on a flat Earth, not a globe. And everybody, if you don't mind liking my video, sharing it, and commenting below the video, tell me your honest opinions. The the minimal thing that you could do to help grow my channel is just liking the video and sharing it. That lets the algorithm on YouTube know that you guys enjoy my content. And whether you agree or disagree, please comment your thoughts on the entire video below. That would mean a lot to me, just to let me know what your thoughts are. But we'll get into the video, and I want you to watch some of these videos, and a lot of it has a lot of explanation that adds to the theory that we don't live on a globe. We live on a flat Earth.
In 1946, one of the most respected U.S. Navy officers claimed to have seen something impossible, something that made him retire on the spot. Admiral Richard Evelyn Byrd was leading Operation Hydra. Their goal was simple: survey the land and report back optimal locations to establish a research facility. And this was a massive operation. 4,700 soldiers. You see, there was only one rule given to Admiral Byrd: do not, by any circumstances, go over the wall. And for the most part, Admiral Byrd kept to that rule. They were flying together in squadrons, surveying the land, reporting back the locations. But one morning, Admiral Byrd would wake up with a curiosity. It was like an itch that he could not scratch. So he gets on his airplane and he prepares for a solo flight. He lets radio control know he's about to take off and he's going to do a solo expedition. And like any other typical day, he's reporting back what he sees. But as the day goes on, Admiral Byrd goes closer and closer and closer to the ice wall. The Navy is, of course, very aware of this. And as he's flying over this wall, he describes flying over vast ice fields. Then suddenly, a valley without stone. Mountains surrounded it. His instruments grew warm. And in his private journal, never meant for the public, he allegedly wrote, "We saw a land beyond the pole, a place that is not marked by any method." But after this report, there was complete radio silence from Admiral Byrd for 3 hours. What happened in those 3 hours? We'll never know. But after that solo flight, Byrd came back a different man, a pale white face. In those 3 hours, he was visibly shaken. And shortly after, His mission was abruptly ended. Byrd retired. He came back to the U.S. and testified before Congress, warning that what he saw over that wall would be one of the greatest threats to national security. He died a decade later. Some say.
Now, keep in mind, I actually used Chat GPT to look it up, and first, Chat GPT says, no, there's no credible evidence that Admiral Richard E. Byrd reported to Congress in 1946. Then it goes on to explain later, which was suspicious, that Byrd's contemporaneous public interview published in El Mercurio, in which he warned about the polar approaches in national security. To me, Chat GPT is definitely being coached or controlled by some government where it's not allowed to tell a lot of things. So Chat GPT just stepped on its own toes, claiming that the ice wall doesn't exist, and then it says that he did fly over the wall. So this guy is telling the truth.
He was silenced. Others say that he saw something that changes the understanding of this world forever. And his son, he wanted to release his father's work. That when he was putting together, getting ready to release this so-called information that his father had compiled, he was found dead a few days later. To this day, one thing remains certain. No one really knows what happened to Byrd or what he saw when he went over that ice wall. Have you heard of this story before? What do you think happened?
Never heard of it. So let's put on. First, I'd like you guys to understand that this was in 1946 to 1947, and Byrd's son was actually uh, unalived for sharing this or trying to share this information with the public. That should tell you everything you need to know, that all the greatest inventors, all the greatest people out there that make all these inventions or have made great um, discoveries have been unalived because they want to share it. So that should tell you how serious this is. But let's go on to the next video, proving that flat Earth exists and that it's more realistic that flat Earth is.
This might just be the best flat Earth proof you've ever come across. But trust me, it's going to make you rethink everything. You've heard all the theories about Earth being round.
Hold on. Trying to
We've
get
all
full
seen
screen.
The pictures from space, the CGI animations, the globe in classrooms. But what if all of that was just part of a larger story? What if you've been missing something right in front of your eyes this entire time? According to what we've been told, the Earth's circumference is about 24,901 miles. Okay, cool. But if that were true, there would need to be a very specific amount of curvature happening as we move across the planet. I mean, we're supposed to be on a ball, right? Therefore, it should curve in every single direction, not just the one you're looking at. Think about it for a second. On a ball, no matter where you are, the ground beneath you should bend away. But when you actually look for that curvature, where is it? Now, here's where it gets interesting. Instead of relying on NASA's billion-dollar equipment and fisheye lenses, what if you just took matters into your own hands? Some people have done just that, sending high-altitude balloons with regular, non-distorted lenses. And what do you see? No curve, a flat horizon as far as the eye can see, flat, straight, level. But here's something else to consider. You ever wonder why they're called airplanes and not air balls? They fly straight across the sky, never curving to match the supposed curvature of a globe. If we were on a ball, wouldn't they need to constantly...
Yeah, I explain this all the time, how an airplane would have to correct its altitude in order to match the spinning of the globe. But
just their altitude, but they don't. They fly level. Therefore, it makes you wonder if the globe theory really holds up. And don't even get me started on gravity, because let's face it, that's just a theory. After all these years, gravity still hasn't been proven. But we do know one thing: water doesn't stick to a ball. Ever tried balancing water on a basketball? Exactly. Therefore, the math doesn't add up either. There's supposed to be a curve of about 8 inches per mile squared, but why don't we ever see it? From high up, you'd expect to see a pretty clear curve. Yet the horizon stays flat. That's something you can see with your own eyes. No need for fancy space agencies to tell you otherwise. So why the push to make us believe we're spinning on a ball through space? What's the end game here? Here's the thing: you don't have to take anyone's word for it, not even mine. But what if you just started thinking critically? Look around you. Everything in your everyday experience shows a flat, stationary world. They've been pushing the globe model on us since we were kids, but why? Maybe it's time we start questioning that narrative. And don't feel bad if you've believed in the globe your whole life. We've all been there, myself included. But once you start doing your own research, things start making a lot more sense. Therefore, suddenly, it clicks. The flat Earth isn't just a theory for some fringe group. There are real, undeniable proofs right in front of us. You've just got to be willing to see them.
And that's another one. The other theory is they talked about in one video, they explained that a rail gun. You ever notice that a rail gun can fire a bullet more than 50 miles away or 100 miles away, yet the bullet flies straight? It never corrects for altitude and never corrects for the curvature of the globe. 100 miles away from me, wouldn't there be some curvature that the bullet would have to correct for? No, the bullet flies straight for 100 miles straight. But let's get into more videos. I want to make the footage a priority above me. Let me change this. There we go. Let's get back. Here's another video, and it talks about NASA.
So you're saying there's an entire country we don't know about?
What if I told you there's a part of the Earth no one's ever seen? At least, not the people you know. Everyone's stuck believing the Earth is this perfect little globe where, sure, you just stroll in a circle, and boom, you're back where you started. Cute idea, right? But tell me, why don't we just cross Antarctica? Oh, right, because nobody
We can't.
You think it's just this cold, useless slab of ice at the bottom of the world, but that's the lie. Antarctica, it's not just land, it's a wall, a barrier. It locks us inside the tiny part of the Earth we think we know. And what lies beyond, that's where things get interesting. People in power, they know what's on the other side. They make sure you stay clueless, like good little sheep, believing you live on 7 continents. But you've got no idea what's out there. Whole continents, oceans bigger than the Pacific, and humans who have lived beyond that ice wall for centuries were nothing more than their experiment, caged inside this small, controlled space. That's the real reason no one lets you explore Antarctica. They don't want you wandering too far, because once you cross that ice, you'd realize we're not in charge of this world at all.
So you're saying there's an entire country we don't...
What else? What else can we find about flat
The Earth
Earth?
is flat, and here's the proof you've been searching for. Ever wonder why we've been fed so many stories about outer space? Stat lights floating around, endless galaxies and moon landings. They sound cool, right? But have you ever questioned how much of it actually makes sense? Let's break it down. If satellites are supposedly orbiting in space, how come NASA and private companies launch hundreds of high-altitude balloons every year? These massive balloons carry thousands of pounds of equipment, telescopes, internet devices, you name it. And here's a shocker. Underwater cables transmit most of our internet, not satellites. So why all the space propaganda? Now let's dive into the bigger picture, the Earth itself. Ever heard of the 360-degree ice wall in Antarctica? This colossal wall is said to hold the oceans in place, acting like the edge of a flat world. Researchers have tried to dig into it only to discover something bizarre. First, it feels like solid stone. Dig a little deeper, and you hit something they call sky ice. What's weird? Every hole they make seals itself as if the ice is alive, and it doesn't stop there. This sky ice phenomenon mirrors What happens when rockets hit the firmament, a mysterious water-like barrier above us? Footage shows waves rippling across it as if it's repairing itself. Coincidence? Think about this. Over 85% of our oceans remain unexplored. Yet, we're told we've mapped out the infinite cosmos. Makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Yeah, here's the other thing. NASA went to the moon. Let me just, I don't want to quote, let me just do the research. What year did NASA go to the moon? NASA went to the moon in 1969 during the Apollo 11 mission. Let's put it this way. NASA allegedly spent hundreds of millions of dollars to go to the moon, yet their technology back then was far less superior to our technology now. Yet we've not been able to return to the moon at all. And there's many videos of the NASA space guy, Neil Armstrong, saying that they never went to the moon, that it never happened. There's many videos where they talk about the footage of the moon was happened during, like it was in a studio. The fact that the gravity in space should not have been able to allow the flag that is allegedly on the moon to wave as if there was air. That's
200 proofs.
Here's some more.
Is not a spinning ball by Eric Dubay. 4. Rivers run down to sea level, finding the easiest course: north, south, east, west, and all other intermediary directions over the Earth at the same time. If Earth were truly a spinning ball, then many of these rivers would be impossibly flowing uphill. For example, the Mississippi, in its 3,000 miles, would have to ascend 11 miles before reaching the Gulf of Mexico. 5. One portion of the Nile River flows for 1,000 miles with a fall of only 1 foot. Parts of the West African Congo, according to the supposed inclination and movement of the ball Earth, would be sometimes running uphill and sometimes down. This would also be the case for the Parana, Paraguay, and other long rivers. 6. If Earth were a ball 25,000 miles in circumference, as NASA and modern astronomy claim, spherical trigonometry dictates the surface of all standing water must curve downward, an easily measurable 8 inches per mile multiplied by the square of the distance. This means along a 6-mile channel of standing water, the Earth would dip 6 feet on either end from the central peak. Every time such experiments have been conducted, however, standing water has proven to be perfectly level. 200 proofs. The Earth is not a spinning ball.
I mean, I've shared that multiple times for some reason. All right, let's get into some more.
Here's a flat Earth proof that might leave you questioning everything. The world's most powerful nations, who can't seem to agree on much, have somehow managed to unite over one thing: Antarctica. In 1959, they signed the Antarctic Treaty, and it's been unbroken ever since. Think about that. No land claims, no resource wars, no disputes, just complete cooperation. Suspicious yet? Here's where it gets stranger. Antarctica is essentially off limits. You can't just pack your bags and decide to explore it. Any visit...
Yeah, let's talk about that. Why is it that every country on the planet is battling for land and power and can't agree on much, but yet every country in the world was able to sign a peace treaty Arctic treaty to avoid allowing any planes, any boats, any ships coming anywhere near it? You can't travel there freely. The military will shut you down. must be a scientific discovery approved through the government. That just tells me that something's awry, something's not right. We're obviously not on a globe.
Must be scientifically approved and is tightly monitored. No free roaming, no casual expeditions, no exceptions. But why? What's so critical about a frozen, uninhabited continent that it needs this level of restriction? Now, consider this. Antarctica is vast, remote, and one of the least explored places on Earth. Despite that, it's locked down tighter than a bolt. You can't freely fly over it, and sailing to its edges is practically impossible. Yet for over 60 years, no country has broken the treaty. Even in a world where nations are constantly clashing over territory and resources, Antarctica remains untouched. Doesn't that strike you as odd? Let's dive into history for a moment. Captain James Cook, one of the greatest explorers of his era, attempted to circumnavigate Antarctica 3 times. He traveled an estimated 60,000 miles along the icy perimeter, only to encounter an endless wall of ice, towering and impenetrable, stretching as far as the eye could see. No openings, no pathways through, just an unyielding barrier. If the Earth were flat, this would make perfect sense. That ice wall could be the ultimate boundary, holding everything in and keeping us from venturing beyond. But here's the real question. What's on the other side? Is there more land? An uncharted world? Or could it simply be the edge of everything we know? Now, let's think about the ice wall again. If the Earth is flat, it acts as the perfect enclosure, preventing ships and planes from wandering too far. And the fact that no one is allowed to cross it, that's a layer of secrecy that raises some serious questions. What are they protecting? Is it just frozen wilderness, or is there something far more significant beyond the ice? Whatever the answer is, it's clear that the truth about Antarctica is wrapped in secrecy. And the more you think about it, the more it feels like we're being kept from something much bigger.
I'm telling you, it just keeps getting deeper and deeper. What else do we have
The
here?
Earth is flat, and this is why your GPS is lying to you. And I've got a 2,000-year-old secret to prove it. Stick around, because by the end, I'll show you how to spot this lie using nothing but a sunset in your phone. Spoiler, you'll never trust Google Maps again. Ever noticed how flights from Chile to Sydney take 20 hours but should only take 12 on a globe? Or why you can see the Chicago skyline from 60 miles across Lake Michigan, when it should be 1,500 feet below the horizon. The math doesn't add up at all. Here's the kicker. Ancient Greeks knew the Earth was flat. They used sundials and constellations to navigate oceans, no curvature needed. But suddenly, in the 1900s, textbooks started pushing this spinning ball nonsense. Why? Follow the money. Satellite companies, space agencies, globe manufacturers, they're all cashing in on the lie. The Earth isn't a planet, it's a plane, and we're all living on a giant, motionless disk. Think I'm crazy? Let's talk flight paths. On a globe, a direct flight from Santiago to Sydney would cut through Antarctica. But guess what? No commercial flights do that. They all detour north, adding hours. Why? Because Antarctica isn't a continent. It's the ice wall rim holding our oceans in. Try finding a non-stop southern hemisphere flight. I'll wait. Let's get practical. Grab your phone tonight. Film the sunset. When the sun dips below the horizon, zoom in, watch it pop back up. On a curved Earth, that's impossible. It should vanish forever. But on a flat plane, the sun's just moving out of sight like a car driving away. You're welcome. Or check this. Stars don't change at all, whether you're in Canada or Argentina. Polaris, the North Star, is always right where it should be. On a spinning globe, southern skies should have entirely different constellations. But nope. Same stars, same rotations. Explain that. Neil deGrasse Tyson. If your mind's racing, good. This is just 1% of the rabbit hole. Want the rest? Tap over to our page and smash play on the 10 experiments that shatter the globe myth. And hey, send this to your friend who still thinks Elon Musk's rockets are real. They'll either owe you a coffee or block you. Either way, win-win. Stay woke, stay skeptical, and always zoom in on sunsets. The truth's hiding in plain sight. Oh, and that ice wall? Antarctica's just the rehearsal. Wait till you hear about the dome.
Let's see. Come on, guys. Comment below. Let's hear your opinions. I remember there was a video I saw not long ago, about how the railgun. Is this one I already shared? I don't know. What is it frozen for? Hello.
The Earth is flat, stationary, and enclosed by a glass dome known as the firmament, which contains the sun, moon, and stars, all of which move, not the Earth. Above and below are waters. This isn't a conspiracy. If satellites were really in space, why would we need communication towers in the middle of the ocean? A compass only functions properly on a flat surface to differentiate between north, east, south, and west. Water always stays level and contained, with the Arctic Circle and Antarctica acting as barriers that hold the oceans in. The solid glass dome or firmament keeps the air inside, creating a sealed, airtight environment. The Earth doesn't spin at millions of miles per hour like a ball. The sounds of thunder booms are produced when solid objects shift. Even world leaders know this truth, as shown by the flat Earth map on the UN logo. Once again, it's the sun, moon, and stars that rotate from east to west, not the Earth. The people who taught you that the Earth is a globe are fully aware of and believe in the flat, enclosed system we all live in and that no one can leave. We're told that we're spinning at 1,000 miles per hour, orbiting the sun in the heliocentric model at 66,600 miles per hour. On top of that, we're supposedly chasing the sun through space at nearly 500,000 miles per hour. According to this model, we're spiraling through an infinite universe, never in the same place twice. Now consider the Georgia Guidestones, which had a small hole drilled through one of the central stones. If you looked through that hole, you would always see Polaris, the North Star. But how could we be moving in so many directions, traveling vast distances, and yet that star remains perfectly aligned in the hole? It should shift out of sight constantly, yet it stayed in place for 40 years until one day someone blew up the monument. They say Earth spins eastward at 1,600 kilometers per hour at the equator. So here's a question. How does a plane flying eastward at just 800 kilometers per hour reach its destination? Shouldn't the ground be moving too fast for the plane to catch up? And what about landing? Imagine trying to land a plane safely on a runway that's supposedly zipping along at 1,600 kilometers per hour. Sounds risky, doesn't it? The official explanation is that Earth's atmosphere is stuck to the planet, held by gravity despite the vacuum of space above it. But think about this. If Earth were a spinning ball, pilots would constantly need to adjust for the curve. At 800 kilometers per hour, a plane would have to lower its nose by around 850 meters per minute to stay on course with Earth's curvature. Otherwise, it would be flying higher and higher, reaching about 50,000 meters in just an hour. Yet pilots don't make these constant adjustments. Once they reach cruising altitude, they level off and maintain a steady course until it's time to descend. No constant corrections for Earth's curve, just a straight level flight path. Doesn't that raise questions? If Earth were really spinning and curving, wouldn't we see constant course corrections? But we don't. It's a compelling clue that maybe things aren't what we've been taught. What do you think? If you're curious to dive deeper into these ideas, make sure to check out more videos on this page.
All right. Well, I mean, I've got clip after clip after clip where they talk about flat Earth. And a lot of people don't agree or don't believe in. I think we already showed that one. No, I don't think we did.
Right, so let's dive into the flat Earth theory and its proofs. The idea here is that the Earth is not a sphere, but rather a flat plane. This theory has been around for centuries, and many people still believe in it today. Never in a laboratory has it ever been demonstrated that water adheres to a sphere. There we have the first empirical proof, and they will tell you 50 reasons, but it is not replicable in a laboratory. Our flat Earth model is replicable in a laboratory. We start from the fact that water is always level. Second proof, there is one thing that they showed us. They said very well, the buildings have to be covered and the ship disappears. When it is very far out at sea, they claim the curvature of the Earth prevents you from seeing things at a certain distance. To demonstrate that, they calculated using what is called spherical trigonometry. For every certain number of kilometers, there is a curvature drop, and a few meters of objects cannot be seen due to this drop. But they didn't account for one thing, technology that is now available to everyone. For example, today we have access to a P1000 camera. What really obscures things is perspective, the globe's vanishing point. Things always converge as they approach the limit of visibility, meeting at a single point. Any artist can explain this. That's why when you stand on a street, you see the streetlights appear to converge at one point, the vanishing point. But when you get closer, the road continues, and the streetlights aren't actually converging. When they developed this theory, they didn't account for the fact that today anyone can purchase equipment and verify this for themselves.
Well, that is so many more evidence. Here's another one.
Can I blow your mind right now? Okay. If the center of the Earth is hot, why is the bottom of the ocean cold? Right? Let that sink in. So you're closer to the source of the Earth's heat, but the water is colder. It doesn't make sense. So Chris and I were talking about this because we were flying to see our sister last summer, and we're going over the ocean. And we said, make it make sense, Chris. Scientists expect us to believe that the center of the Earth is 100% pure lava, which is liquid fire. You can look this up. So shouldn't the bottom of the ocean be boiling water? Well, it's not. It's cold water. So there's only one explanation for this. There's only one explanation, and that is that the center of the Earth is actually frozen. And if this is a hard thing to believe, you just have to look to the evidence. And who gives us the evidence? The same scientists that try to tell us that the center of the Earth is hot. Okay, so if you really want to go down this rabbit hole with me, ask yourself why 50% of scientists say that the dinosaurs were killed by the Ice Age, and the other 50% say it was because of volcanic eruptions. Well, if the center of the Earth is frozen, what comes out of a volcano? I think you know where I'm going with this. Can I blow your mind right now? Okay. If the center of the Earth is hot,
That is another evident clue that we live on a flat Earth. Think about that. Why is the bottom of the ocean not boiling water? Why is that? Why is the bottom of the ocean like so frozen that people can't even travel under there with, I mean, I'm not even going to take into account the amount of pressure that can kill you, but focus solely on the pressure, or sorry, on the coldness of the water. Shouldn't the bottom of the earth or bottom of the ocean, shouldn't that water be boiling? If the core of our earth was lava, it's not. It's freaking frozen. That should be plenty of evidence to support the fact that we don't live on a globe. We live on a flat earth with a dome over our head. I'd love your guys' opinions. I really would like to have all of you comment. If you don't agree with it, that's fine. Let me hear your thoughts, your opinions, your arguments. But I mean, I looked up the treaty that was signed by all the countries for the ice wall, and here's what I found. I wish there was a way to share it. I think I can. Let's see. Invite guests. Let's see. Let me do this. I'll invite myself from my phone. Stream yard .com / 4ZTCU 6QUCY. See here. Wait. Cut. What? What am I missing? Something's must have typed it wrong. Let's see, StreamYard.com /4ZTCU 6QUC. Oh, QUCY. Let's see. What the hell? The browser. Androids are ridiculous. Here, try it this way. Of course, my phone did. See, copy. Let's see. I just need to download the Firefox app. That should do it. Google Chrome is being retarded. Firefox install. Give it a second. Be able to get this going. Oh shoot. Of course it takes forever. 7, 11, 16, 21, 26, 29, 31, 33, 37, 41, 45, 50, 57, 61, 69, 73, 78, 82, 87, installing, open. Not right now. Cancel. Not now. Not now. Not now. Not now. Stop with all the stupid settings. I'll set up later. Stream yard.com /4ZTCU 6QUCY. There we go. It works on Google Chrome or Firefox. All right, so entering studio. Go back. Whatever. And the home screen. Don't know. God, I feel bad for the fact that people have to go through this just to join. They have to sign in through. It should be a lot easier than this. 96. Yes. Yes. I'm adding myself to the stream. If it works, anyways. Yes, 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 yes. All these damn buttons. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to share. Can I share from my phone? Let's see. What? Can my guest not? I'm a guest, but let's see. Mute my mic. I'm here. Okay, so trying to see if my guests have the ability to share. The only reason why I put myself on here was to share a something from my screen. But if I have to screw it, if I have to, I'll just let me get out of here. I'll just, anyways, I'm just gonna read this of what I found. So this is what the peace treaty was signed. It says the Antarctic Treaty in 1959, the full text UN Treaty Series number 5778. This version includes the complete preamble of Articles 1 through 13. Its authoritative, legally binding text is deposited with the United States and registered by the UN. Preamble. The government of Argentina, Australia, Belgium, Chile, the French Republic, Japan, New Zealand, Norway, the Union of South Africa, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, the United Kingdom of Great Britain, Northern Ireland, and the United States of America, recognizing that it is in the interest of all mankind that Antarctica shall continue forever to be used exclusively for peaceful purposes and shall not become the scene of object of international discord. I don't know what the hell that means. Sounds to me like they're trying to cover it up. Acknowledging the substantial contributions to scientific knowledge resulting from the international cooperation in scientific investigation in Antarctica. Convinced that the establishment of a firm foundation for continuing such cooperation based on the freedom of scientific investigation in Antarctica is as applied during the International Geophysical Year serves the interest of science and the progress of humanity, and further convinced that a treaty ensuring the peaceful use of Antarctica and the preservation of international harmony there will further the purposes of and principles of the Charter of the United Nations, have agreed as follows. Article 1. Antarctica shall be used for peaceful purposes only. Military measures, including bases, fortifications, maneuvers, and weapons testing, are prohibited. This treaty does not prevent the use of military personnel or equipment for scientific research or other peaceful purposes. Article 2 of the treaty. Freedom of scientific investigation in Antarctica as practiced during the IGY shall continue under this treaty. Article 3. To promote scientific cooperation, plans for scientific activity should be shared for efficiency. Personnel may be exchanged between expeditions and stations. Scientific observations and results shall be freely exchanged. Encouragement is given towards cooperation with UN agencies and other international scientific bodies. Article 4 of the treaty. Nothing in this treaty constitutes a renunciation of any previous territorial claim, affects any basis of claim that a party may have, affects recognition of or non-recognition of another territorial claim. While the treaty is in force, no act shall constitute a ground for new claims supporting or denying sovereignty, nor shall new claims be asserted. Article 5 of the treaty. Nuclear explosions and disposal of radioactive waste in Antarctica is prohibited. However, if future international agreements covering nuclear activity include all treaty parties, those rules may apply. Article 6 of the treaty. The treaty applies to all land and ice shelves south of 60 degrees south latitude, but does not prejudice rights under international law to the high seas beyond that area. Article 7. Treaty parties may appoint observers to conduct inspections. Observers have unrestricted access at any time by land or sea to all area facilities, personnel, ships, and aircraft. Aerial observations are allowed. Parties must notify others. All expeditions to or within Antarctica, all stations operated by their nationals, military personnel, or equipment introduced under peaceful purposes. Article 8. Observers and scientists are subject only to the jurisdiction to their nationality while in Antarctica. In disputes concerning jurisdiction, contracting partners or parties shall consult to reach a mutually agreeable solution. Article 9. Parties shall meet first in Canberra shortly after entry into force to exchange information, consult recommended measures addressing peaceful use, science inspections, jurisdiction, and resource preservation. Observers' reports shall be submitted to these meetings. Measures become effective when all consultative parties approve them. Treaty rights can be exercised from entry into force, regardless of whether facilitating measures have been adopted. Article 10. Each party must take steps consistent with UN Charter to ensure no one engages in activities contrary to the treaty's principles. Article 11. Disputes regarding treaty interpretation or application are to be resolved peacefully. Negotiation, inquiry, mediation, arbitration, judicial settlement, etc. With consent, unresolved disputes may be referred to the International Court of Justice, but this does not absolve parties from continuing to seek resolution. Article 12. The treaty may be amended with unanimous agreement of all consultant parties. 30 years after entry into force, any consultative party may call for a review conference. Amendments approved there by a majority, including majorities of consultative parties, shall enter into force per the treaty's amendment procedures. If an amendment does not enter into force within 2 years, any party may withdraw. Withdrawal takes effect 2 years after notice. Article 13, the treaty is open to ratification by original signatories or accession by UN states or other invited states. Deposits of ratification, accession are made to the U.S. government, the depository. The depositories notify all parties of deposits and effective dates. Once all original signatories ratified the treaty, entered into force. It is registered by the U.S. pursuant to UN Charter Article 102. So, if the treaty is signed for scientific purposes on the Arctic Treaty, then why can't any planes or persons fly over, near, or take a boat to the Arctic Circle? The Arctic Circle and North Pole is not covered by one single no-go treaty. I call bullshit because many people have been forced away from the Arctic Circle by the U.S. military. Explain why. Let me say this. If your claim is true, which I know it's not, it's not true. Explain why military personnel have flown jets in attack formation towards planes that tried to fly over Antarctica. See what it says then. You're asking about the claims that military jets have flown in attack formation towards aircraft attempting to fly over Antarctica, implying some kind of hostile defense or cover-up. Let's unpack that. We found the Antarctic Treaty strictly prohibits military activity in the region, which is bullshit because military is the ones running it. Military forces are only permitted to support roles for scientific and peaceful purposes, no combat, despite so. There have been cases like that of the young pilot Ethan Guo, who was detained in July of 2025 after landing in Antarctica without authorization. He was detained but not intercepted by military aircraft. Upon landing, Chilean authorities for violating aviation laws. What laws are those? So why might conspiracy theories talk about military planes and attack formation? People often confuse military intercepts in other polar regions, for example, the Arctic, with imagined scenarios. Antarctica in the Arctic near Alaska. It's routine for U.S. and Canadian jets to intercept foreign aircraft near national airspace borders. These intercepts made as defensive measures, but there's no analogy to Antarctica. I don't. It's called bullshit. All right. Let's see if we can find, because I'm going to have this discussion with ChatGPT. Cases where planes and boats were forced to leave the area of Antarctica. All right, let's see. Why is no one allowed to fly over Antarctica? The short answer is no. It's not illegal. Let's see. Has there been a I'm gonna look at videos. Let's see. Well, I'll find more. But anyways, this is in regards to the fact that I believe that we don't live on a globe. But I'm going to end it there. I just wanted to present some of the footage, some of the videos that I found that explains that we definitely do not live on a globe. We live on a flat plane. And I think I've proven myself very well. But this is Dearden2007. It's in regard to my wife who passed away in 2007. I think I have a picture. No, not on this one. On my phone, I do, but that's fine. But this is in regards to my wife that passed away in the year of 2007. She passed away in a tragic train accident. Since then, I've spent my life questioning why men get treated so poorly in the eyes of the law, in courts, in custody and divorce, and all these other things. And I stand up for men's mental health. I'm fighting to help men with legal matters in custody and divorce. That's what my organization does. And I'm just starting out, so give me time. My organization will grow, and we'll be able to help men, fathers, and so my organization, we sell jackets. We also sell hoodies. We also sell sweatpants. We also sell let's see, I need to remove this. Also have shirts. Also have shirts. And we also have sports bras we sell to the ladies. It says men's mental health. It's got my logo. But I actually bought one of these for myself. And it's nice. It's a bomber's jacket. And the ribbon here in the middle says, stop silencing men. Because every time men talk about their struggles and their problems, they're silenced. At the bottom here, it says, in loving memory, Guinevere Renee Dearden, February 17, 2007 is the year she passed away. And that's the whole story behind my channel. Is I want to keep the memory of my wife there, and I want to help men who struggle in divorce and custody, because I myself was disregarded, discredited, treated like I didn't matter in the custody battles that I went through. So hopefully y'all can take the videos that you saw and comment below the video and like it. It would mean so much to me if you would share the um, if you could like the video, share the video, and just, you know, comment and let me know your thoughts, whether you believe we live on a globe or if you think we live in a flat plane, because I believe we live on a flat plane, and you can watch the videos I shared. Any arguments you have against it, feel free to let me know. And everybody have a good day.